One of the things that I'm enormously sort of, I guess, impressed with is you've grown Appsumo to this beast, and yet a lot of your content is still very much focused on helping people get their first dollar in the door.
Yeah.
And the book is all about that. Kind of looking at the growth of Appsumo, as you've gone from 100,000 to 1 million a month, from 1 million a month to nearly 10 million a month. What are some of the kind of the surprising things that you've learned around the growth of a business? Because obviously what you're doing in the first year is very different than you're doing in the last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I was first doing it, the first AppSumo deal ever, just to give context for people, and how many people in the chat have bought from AppSumo or are familiar with AppSumo? I'm curious. When I first did it, it was a Reddit post, a PayPal button, and my Gmail. That was the whole business. That was the back end, front end total thing that was helping me understand that there was an opportunity to see if people really wanted software deals. Because I built other businesses solving the same problem that did not work. And I think people miss out on that, where they're really focused on, I wanted this to work. It's like, well, sometimes it just doesn't work, right? Like if you're 5 foot, it's very hard to dunk a basketball. Like you're 5 foot, but maybe you could be a good point guard. Maybe you could be a good coach if you really want to be in the NBA or be in part of basketball. I don't know if the question you're asking, but it's like the inflection points maybe would have been the different like inflection points on
I
this
guess
on
well,
this
some
growth
some
journey.
of the some like for myself, as my businesses grew, and you kind of cross that 100 million, and you start like a lot of my content is now around taking companies public, M&A, that kind of stuff, whereas yours is
Yeah.
still very much on the startup space. Just on your personal experience, what are some of the surprising things that you've learned about the business now that it's at the level that it's at?
Mm. I would say that my content is not very well connected to AppSumo because
Mm.
I spend my days in forecast meetings around the budget stuff. I was just in a meeting around a VP of marketing of a guy who's like worked at most companies that people here know about, who's extremely seasoned, and my content and Million Dollar Weekend, it's about making your first dollar. So I would say my content's not really well connected yet to the AppSumo customer. Even our AppSumo customer, it's someone who's gotten experience.
Mm.
I think what I'm seeing and what's helped us get to these different levels, one is market size. We honestly we got a part of a market that got bigger. And I think people are working very hard in small markets. And so why don't you just do the same amount of work, but you have a much higher upside, or even a different problem in the same market, like that has more people wanting to pay for it or pay for it more often. I think the thing that's probably helped us that's getting us to 100 million and beyond probably is just some of the BI that we have. So we have two full-time people and we spend maybe 500,000 to 1 million just on the cost of the software just for data insights. Like just think about that. Like $1 million, we're spending $1 million a year just on data insights. And what that helps us do is we have revenue accuracy to within 5% of our forecasts. What you have to think about is like when you're riding a bicycle, you don't even need a speedometer. You just ride your bike. But then as you're flying a bigger plane, you need more dials and parameters to understand how things are progressing. I think that's been a huge game changer as we've gotten larger. I would also say just understanding your customer and the products they need is something we can still do better at. And I was talking with our team today, our revenue team, and I think the interesting things that we're doing there is what are you doing today that's going to pay off the same day next year?